Okay, so the next thing I'd like to get into is a few more things that we can do with import statements. And then I want to combine this with packaging so you can see the flip side of the coin. So packaging is one side where you're packaging your source code and your functions together. And then imports is the other side of the equation where you're using those things. So let's look at the packaging part first. And to do that, this is a file named utils.scala. And this is where I keep all of my utilities. And so the way you do this is you start with the package keyword. That's the first line of the file, package. And then that's followed by whatever you want you to name your package. So that mine is named com.alvinalexander.utils. And if you're familiar with Java and several other languages like this is very similar syntax. So I have the domain name alvinalexander.com. So this is the reverse of that, com.alvinalexander. And then this is the last part of the package name here is utils. It might help sometimes, like if you think of a model view controller application, usually what you'll have is com.alvinalexander.myapp, and then you'll have model. You might be there, and then you'll have another file and it'll have controller, and the other one would be view. So that's the way that works in the model view controller world with an application. And here I'm just saying I want to have all my utilities in one place, so I put them in this package name right here. Now within this package, what happens is I could have just one object here. So an object is a singleton object, which means there can only be one string utils object within your entire application. So you have the string utils object, and then it has these 6 functions in here that I've defined inside that object. Now what I've done here is a little more advanced. So we have one object that has these functions in here. And what I've done is I put other objects in here as well. So I have string utils here, and then so all of those functions relate to strings. And then I have system utils, and then everything inside of this object is related to what I would call, quote unquote, the system. So you're getting system properties here. I created these as values. Technically, they're lazy values, which means they don't have a value until you first access them. And then I have a couple of functions here. Then I threw in some Mac OS utils in the same file. This function tells me if I'm running on Mac OS or not. And then I have a math utils object down here when it has one function in it. It's an approximately equals function. So if you've ever looked at some numbers, if you've ever done some things on the JVM, you'll see that 0.2 plus 0.1 isn't really 0.3. So the way you want to compare floating point number sometimes is with a precision, which is that third field there and there. But anyway, getting back to this point. The only thing we care about for this lesson is that I have this package up here and I have this string utilities object. So now what I want to do is start to use these functions here. And I'm going to copy this one because I'll use that one first. So I come over to the second file over here. And here I will give this one a different package. So this is a totally different namespace. A lot of people use the word namespace. So package foo has nothing at all to do with this package over here in the utilities. So now what I want to do is I want to create a main method. So at main def, and I will say import test is going to be the name of this. It's not going to take any input parameters. It's going to return nothing. And I'll come down a couple lines just to give me some room here. So then I want to say, let's start with a string. I use Big Belly Burger a lot for testing. It's a nice string because each word begins with a B, and then each word has a different length. So it's a good one for testing. And I'll still give myself some more room here. So what I want to do is to create a new string, and we'll call this one cap words equals. And I'm going to use that function from string utilities called capitalize all words. I'll pass BBB into it, and then I will do a print line on cap words. And so that's all I want to do. And then I press save, and that fails. And what happens if you hover over this is you'll see this error, not found capitalize all words. And that's actually perfectly expected because what we have to do, just to save a little typing, I will copy that, come back over here. We say, I want to import com.alvinalexander.utils, string utils, and then I just want to do capitalize all words. So I press save, you saw the error goes away, and then when I come over here to run that, we see the desired output. Big Belly Burger is now capitalized. Each word is capitalized. And as a recap, what I did was I imported this code. So I imported from that package, I imported within this object, there's this function named capitalize all words, and that's all I want access to right now. And now what happens is, as we're going along, we may want more functions from that object. So we would say val a equals, I want to truncate BBB down to 9 characters. And then I want to print that. So let's just get rid of the temporary variables. Let's just go right to print line. I'll do a little space here to make that easier to read. I hope that's easier to read. So then I do save that, and you see truncate. We get the same error. It's not found. So what you do is you come back up here, oops, and you copy and paste that, and you say, I want the truncate function. And then you see that error message goes away. I come back here, and now we're down to Big Belly in the second line of output. So that's good. That's what I wanted. And let's do one more. And there was another one over here, and I think it was called truncate with ellipsis. And I'm going to type that in because I don't want any help from the IDE. Press save, get the usual error message, copy that, paste that, and I want truncate with ellipsis. Press save. You see the error message goes away. We come down here, and now you can see what truncate with ellipsis does right there. And so the whole key of what I'm showing is these import statements. Kind of a rule of thumb is when you have 3 import statements, most developers seem to like to show those 3 import statements. One thing you can do though in Scala is, instead of having them on separate lines, is you could say, I would like to have all those on one line, and we do that with these curly braces like that. And I'll press save, you'll see that there are no errors, and I can run that again, so that works just fine. So as a rule of thumb, the way we do this is if you're importing 3 things from some namespace, you'll typically list them out like this. But if you have more than 3, you can replace those with a star. Actually, you can use a star anytime you want, but as a rule of thumb, when you have more than 3, you'll replace those with a star, and then I'll just show that that code works as well. So you can go, in this case, you can go with either one, this one or this one. And then I want to show one more thing, is that you can have an import statement anywhere. So if you don't like it up there, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense in this particular example, but we can still use it. Anything you define with def, like this, is going to be, it's a function or a method. So what I've done is I put my import statement inside this function. So I'll save that and press run, and you'll see that it worked again. And then if I back up a little bit here, I want to show one more thing related to this. Undo, undo, undo. So now you can, again, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you could do that. And then you could do this down there. And you could do this one down there like that. So this is just to show that you can put import statements anywhere you want them. So again, this isn't a terrific example for when you might want to do this, but I just wanted to show that I have seen this, and some programmers like to put import statements inside of functions, and that brings those imports closer to your code. So I wanted to come back to this example for just a moment and show one more thing, and that's, you can see right now I'm importing everything, the star, I'm importing everything from string utils, and that's what makes this available, and this available, and this available. And the thing I like to mention is that some people don't use this approach where they import everything that way, and they might say, you know what, I really want to just import string utils, and then I want to put string utils dot there, and string utils dot here, and string utils dot there. And so I think the reason they do that is to make it more obvious where these functions come from. So now, just at a glance, you can tell that this method, and this one all come from the string utils type. Generally speaking, because we have IDEs and we can track these things down, I do not use that style. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying I don't personally use it. I like to see less code here. So I would rather say string utils dot star up there and see this shorter code here. And what I mean by the IDE helping you is you can hover over something and then click on that, and it takes you right to the code. when you have the source code, or you can hover over it and it gives you that information. But either style works just fine, and I've seen developers use both. As a brief summary, import statements bring other code into the current scope. Several packages are imported by default, and they give you access to standard objects and functions. Import statements can be anywhere in your code, and they look as shown in these examples. There are at least two import-related features that I didn't show. One is that you can rename members when you import them, and the other is that you can import some members while also hiding others. I didn't show these because in practice I don't use them that often. Packaging is basically the flip side of importing, so I showed that at this time. I also mentioned that packages are a way of putting related code into a group while also giving it a namespace that other people can use to access it. Packages give you a way to create libraries or modules, and they're declared with the package keyword, as I showed in our examples.